Chodesh Nisan, Aleph Nisan. I just want to start with a very quick thought of the Aruch HaShulchan on explaining a very fundamental question in Yetzias Mitzrayim, something that I don't know if we all know, and it really gives us a lot of clarity to the whole story, which is as follows. Pare is sitting there, Makois, Nisim, the whole 9 yards, and he keeps on, right, backing out. We all know Hashem, heart in the heart of Pare. Do you ever wonder why was it in Nisan that we were redeemed? Nisan is a very special month. Nisan is Rosh Chadashim. Nisan Nigalu Ubenisan Asidin Lihi Gael will be redeemed. But why was it Nisan? Meaning, once they were redeemed during Nisan, okay, Nisan is a special month. But why did Yetzias Mitzrayim happen during Nisan? So many would answer this question. They would say it's a silly question. That's what happened. When it happened in Nisan, now Nisan became the special month. Aruch HaShulchan is not content with that answer. Says Aruch HaShulchan, why was this month chosen? Fascinating explanation. He says, and we all know, who did the Mitzrayim worship? The teleh, the sheep. Maybe we don't know. Which mazel is Nisan? The teleh, the sheep. Oh, all our astrologers amongst us know this, of course. And therefore, says the Aruch HaShulchan, Paroi, throughout the story, was Samach al Koichai Umazalei. This was his God. So you can just imagine, as the Makos and as the Nisan are happening, you know what Paroi is thinking? Okay, if I stay alive for a few more weeks, it's going to be Nisan, and then my God's going to take over. So the whole time, and Imamish plays it out, comes Makas Barad, Paroi says, Hashem HaTzadik, V'anav Ami Yerushalayim, but then he goes and rolls it back. And then Chayshech, why? V'atam mipnei she'az karva yemei Nisan. Nisan was coming. Ubatach, and Paroi was reliant on Mazalei Shabbachodesh Hazeh. So what does Hashem say? This month, Hachodesh Hazeh that Paroi is waiting for. Paroi thinks, oh, my God's going to help me. This is going to show Ein Mamish B'Mazalais. V'Hashemu Aleikim B'Shamayim Mimav L'Aretz Mitachas Ein Oid. And the Yisrael is Am Segula. And that's why the redemption happened in Nisan. A fascinating explanation of the story, giving us a little bit of flavor into what was going on. But it also tells us, what is Yetzias Mitzrayim all about? What's the Seder all about? What are we trying to drive towards? Trying to drive to a place of Emunah and Hashem. Drive to a place that there's no mazalais, there's no other gods, there's no anything going on. What is everything? Everything is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which really we're not going to focus so much on for the little bit that we have, but we have to realize, what are we supposed to be doing at the Seder? We all know Seder is question and answers. The Seder is Sipur, is telling over Yetzias Mitzrayim. The Seder is the night of Emunah. It's the night of Yigadata Levincha. So what exactly are we supposed to be doing? Something that we should ask ourselves before we start. What are we supposed to be doing? How are we supposed to inculcate in our children Emunah and Bitachon Hashem through the Seder? So, of course, people could get upset at the yeshivas and the schools and the nurseries and everyone in the world that the kids have so many divrei Torah, etc., etc. Or you could just say, it's so beautiful. You'll say tomorrow at the Suda, what's the problem? And at the Seder, we're going to focus on things that are in Yanei Seder, which is what? To show that HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose us. We are the Am Segula. And that's why Hari Mitzrayim in the middle of the night, as we spoke about last week here, is extremely critical. Because it paints the picture, as the Medrash teaches us, it paints this picture that Paroi is a fool. Paroi is running around in pajamas looking for Moshe Rabbeinu and Hashem. Hashem is running the world and Hashem is controlling everything. And that's really the objective of the Seder. And this is the reason why you'll find even big people, even Gedalim, doing almost seemingly foolish things on the Seder, singing and dancing. And someone told me, by now everyone knows Rav Yaakov Bender from Darchei Teres. If you go check out his block in Leil Seder, you'll find that whatever time it is, he'll be running down the block with Allah Yinaklach in front of him, and he's chasing them all out of Mitzrayim. He was Paroi, and every year at a certain time, people on the block will say, you look out the window and you see him running down, get out, and they're reliving it, So you'd say, oh, come on, what are you, being a child? What's this preschool? What are you doing? The answer is we're trying to deeply impart into our children Amunah and Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, etc., etc. So we could really focus for as much time as we have on the Seder and explaining how to bring that out. And if you go look at the Midrashim about the Makkos and get the picture books about what was going on and fascinating Torah, I think someone here wrote, who wrote about Makkah with all the wild animals? Who wrote that each animal came with their habitat? No, didn't someone write that in our Agada? No, someone wrote that? The Nisim? You spoke about it. It just these things are mind blowing when we think about them, and we just paint a picture in our mind. We got the igloo coming over here, and we got the giraffe, and we got the lion, and we got all these animals coming in one with their habitats. It's fascinating. The more we talk about it, the more we realize of Hakadosh Baruch Hu is our loving Father, and He's taking care of us, and that's what we're supposed to be doing in the Seder. But let's get there. We have 2 weeks to the Seder. 2 weeks from today will be the day after, as they say. That will be today in 2 weeks, the morning after the Seder. And what do we have to do in preparations? Let's try to run through a little bit some of the basics of, well, I'm just going to try to focus on the areas that are the most questioned, the most thought about, the most forgotten, etc. So let's talk a job about cleaning. Cleaning for Pesach, says Rav Gissinger, says Chaim Sheinberg, we in past years have read their letters, should not take hours and days and years. What we're doing is, the objective is to get rid of chametz, which is ra'il achila. That which is stuck behind the couch, that which is stuck behind the oven, underneath the fridge, is not really what we're worried about. Now, it's a beautiful thing once every year to, clean your house. But for Pesach, what we're worried about foods and things that you could find, that you could magia, that you could reach, and that you could eat. And the reason why this is so important is for 2 reasons. One reason is we focus so much sometimes on our spring cleaning, says Rav Gissinger, that what happens at the Leil Seder? You show up to the Seder, and the women are a complete shemata, and everyone is aggravated and upset, and this is not a glorious night. This is not a night to give over Amunah Bitachon, because it's late at night, and you just finished cleaning, and everything going on, and it's just not conducive. It's just not conducive. So maybe if we focus on the right way to clean, it will make things more enjoyable. But secondly, and this is actually perhaps more important, nothing's more important, there are areas that we have real chametz, and sometimes we overlook those areas. As someone was remarking before, oh yeah, the diaper bag. Every other year we end up opening the diaper bag. Oh shoot, we forgot to clean it. Oh, there's a wafer in there. Oh, my knapsack. Oh, my other handbag. That's the first thing. If someone wants to clean for Pesach, and this is you're going away, you're staying wherever you are, you have your items with you. And these are unfortunately the areas where we're fixated on scrubbing behind the couch, and we forget, oh wait, maybe my suit jacket, I should look into the pockets and see if maybe I slipped a Laffy Taffy in there that, okay, it's not real chum, it's definitely a form of kidneys or something inside there. So these are areas, the first thing to focus on are the places that we actually put chametz in handbags, bags, children's clothing, adult clothing, suitcases, etc. That's really as it goes to cleaning. A little bit of unknown halacha. If you show up somewhere on Yantif, let's say you go Chalamayit, you go to a hotel, you switch apartments, you go to different houses, wherever you are, you have to do a bedika when you show up. What does that mean? Now, if someone else was there, then it's okay. I mean, if you're taking over a place from another yid, but often that's not the case. Maybe you're moving a house in Florida, maybe you're just going to a hotel, whatever it is, and no one was there before you got there. So you have to check and make sure the place that you're in has no chametz. Now, this should not be a chiddush because you're renting the place, so therefore whatever's there is yours. So what does this mean you do a bedika? Let's be very clear. It does not mean 10 pieces of bread. It does not mean a bracha. All it means is checking and ensuring that there is no chametz there. On that note, anyone in a hotel, it's important to realize, it's a big shayla if you can make a bracha on a bedika in the hotel, if you're there the night of bedikas chametz. What's the shayla? Hotels are supposed to be clean places. So how can you make a bracha on a room that's clean? So you're going to answer, isn't that why we put out the 10 pieces of bread? Yeah, but if there's no possibility of finding chametz, then it's not so simple. So the place can speak out. If you're going to a place that is clean and you're going to be there the night of bedikas chametz, the best thing is to eat chametz there earlier, not during the bedika. Earlier, when you show up, you have some chametz, and now the area is no longer becheskas, perfectly clean. Then you could put out the bread, and then you could make a bedika with a bracha. On that note, what are we doing by bedikas chametz? It is not a Indian ritual that we dance around looking for 10 pieces of bread with a fork. Nope, a spoon and a feather. Known for eternity will understand what in the world those two items are doing in the bedikas chametz kits. fascinating explanations have been given, but still no one will ever understand that. And you're dancing around with your spoon and your feather, and you're looking, what are you doing? So the answer is very simple. Says Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, you know what you're doing, and with this mindset, actually, B'dikas Chametz becomes real. And then maybe you'll actually check the diaper bag, and maybe you'll check your handbag, and maybe you'll get all the areas. Why? Says Shlomo Zalman, B'dikas Chametz is a checklist. Yes, you cleaned your house, you cleaned your apartment. Yes, you packed, you went away, whatever it is. So now, what are you doing on the night of B'dikas Chametz? You're ensuring that there's no chametz. How do you ensure that there's no chametz? By going through all the areas and all your items and making sure there's no chametz in them. Which means, yes, you put out the 10 pieces of bread. And yes, we'll give the reminder. You should write down where you put them down. We always give that reminder, yet there's always that very intelligent person that, no, I gave it to my 5-year-old. And I told the 5-year-old to mark down where, okay, that's just not smart. What should I tell you? And we all laugh about it, yet we've all been there and done that. So you put out the 10 pieces of bread, and you're going to find it. What you're going to do is you're going to check, was every area checked, cleaned, sold, put away? If that's your mindset of B'dikas Chametz, now things make sense. As you're going through your house, your apartment, your hotel, whatever it is, okay, 1 second, that extra bag of chametz that we brought with us, where is it? Oh, it's sitting in the suitcase. So you have a bag of bagels that you brought intending to burn tomorrow morning. It's sitting in your suitcase, and you forgot about it. And when are you going to find it? You're going to find it on the second day Yontif when you go take out your shoes. It's just inappropriate. Why? Because you did B'dikas Chametz. It's in there, so that's the checklist. Is to make sure, oh, this chametz, okay, let's make sure it's supposed to be where it's supposed to be. Oh, wait, who checked this? Did we put away all the different items? B'dikas chametz is a checklist, says Shlomo Zalman, and with that, it really gives a lot of flavor to what we're doing. So now, what happens if the inevitable happens, which is you find the chametz on Pesach? What do we do now? So I think we all know, perhaps, what the Mishnah says to do. Mishnah says, "Kaifan alav kli." You put something on top of the chametz, if it's yontif, and then after yontif, you take it and you burn it. Comes along the Shevet Alevi, and he asks an incredible question. If we were to ask you right then, you found the chametz, you come to the Rav, you're pashut heartbroken. Say, Rav, I feel so terrible. I forgot that I found chametz. I was over suri daraisa. You know what the Rav's going to tell you? Who knows what the Rav's going to tell you? Were you over any Yisr? You're not over any Yisr. Why are you not over any Yisr? Because you did bittul. You did bittul. You did bittul. They worked their Reisa, worked their Rabbanan. Okay, we get involved in the sugya. But Lamaisa, you did bittul. You were mafkirit. You didn't want it to be there. It was an oinus. So says the Shevet Alevi. And one second, what else did we do aside from bittul? What else do we do? We sold our chametz, and we were selling their chametz. Of course, every Yidden Klai still sells their chametz. Says the Chassam Sefer. It's the minhag. Why? Because you sell your chametz. No, but it wasn't in the marked area, and it doesn't make a difference. If you look at the contract, it says everything is sold. Lechatchila, we mark things off. Lechatchila, we know where they are. Lechatchila, maybe we put down a value. But lidin, contractual, you want to know what's the, bottom line is, can I collect it? Yes. Why? Because it's sold. Maybe we'll in a moment see how that works. So ask the Shevet Alevi, how can you burn that chametz? Whose chametz is that? Whose bagel is that on your floor? It's not yours. What do you mean? You sold it. It's the guy's bagel. You sold your chametz. The guy bought it. And just like you have your $10,000 of scotch in the cabinet, that if the guy theoretically wanted to take, he could, and we'll talk about that in a moment, he bought the bagel also. No, you're a chalamite. Chalamite, you cover of a kli. I'm sorry, $100,000. I apologize on the scotch collection. I apologize. Yeah. Yeah, you mocked me to drink it all beforehand, Avada. So, Achalamite, you burn it. Says the Shevet Levi, how could you burn it? Incredible Shevet Levi. Lemaisa lahalacha, many can say there's an umdina. There's I wish I knew English. How do you say umdina in English? It's one of those hard words. There's an established mindset that we all know that the guy doesn't care if you burn that stale bagel on the floor. And therefore, that's where many say, Lemaisa, you're allowed to burn it or take it and throw it in the industrial garbage can or flush it down the toilet. Not the whole bagel, not so smart, but get rid of it. So lehalacha, you can really do either one. I'll say it that way. Lehalacha, if you find chametz on Pesach, you have two options. Again, if it's on Yontif, you don't touch it. It's muksa. But a chalamah, you do one of two things. Either you burn it, or put it in one of your cabinets that you sold to the guy. Fascinating discussion of the Shevet Levi. Just to answer a question, if you're thinking, doesn't the Mishnah Berurah say to burn it? So is the Mishnah Berurah arguing on the Shevet Levi? Some want to say maybe the Mishnah Berurah was talking about if you didn't do Mechiras Chametz, maybe this is a raya whether everyone does Mechiras Chametz. Okay, we're not going to get involved in that. Can we just talk about the Mechira for one moment, for one quick moment? How does Mechira work? So famously, there's a Tfuah Shar that comes along and says the whole thing's a joke, and you shouldn't sell your chametz. Come on, what are you making a joke? You're selling something and it's in your cabinet, and you're never going to let the guy take it. What are you talking about? Lamaisa the Chasam Sefer, amongst all the Gedalim, come along and they say it's not true. It's a real sale and it works. How does it work? Let's explain two things to realize how it works. Number one, this will just say, just because, there's always that one person, whether you're thinking it or someone says it to you and you should correct them. You're not selling, the rabbi doesn't buy chametz. It doesn't work that way. If you do like a Google search, Mechiras chametz, that's like your AI answer. The rabbi doesn't buy the chametz. The rabbi is your agent to sell your chametz to a non-Jew. Okay, great. How does that work? There's two things that make this work. Number one is they sell the area in which the chametz is on. They don't actually sell the chametz. They rent, lease, however you want to say it, the location in which the chametz is on. And that's what makes it more of a real sale, number one. Number two, the highest way to make it a real sale, and there are people that do this, is it shouldn't be in your possession. I mean, the best thing would be take all your chametz, put in a big box, find Leroy the guy, say, hey, Leroy, you want to buy him a box of chametz? And sell it to him, give him the box of chametz, and then after Pesach, buy it back. Now, you could all understand why that would be more lechatchila, right? Because then it's not even in your possession. To counteract that, says the Mishnah Berurah, that's where it comes from. If you're wondering why you marking off your cabinets, that's the reason, is you're putting it in a separate rishos. Mishnah Berurah really wants a mechitza in front of it. You're putting it in a separate area. Okay, fine. But everyone wants to know, but still, how does it work? How does it work? What is the guy? We evaluate everyone's chametz, and the guy's giving. A guy could buy hundreds, if not thousands, of people's of chametz, and each person could have thousands of dollars of chametz. You're telling me the guy's paying $1 million of chametz? So the answer is yes. Really? How does it work? So this is where it actually makes it very real when you realize how it works. This is how all down payments works. It's called a mortgage. It's very simple. The guy makes the first payment. He pays $1,000, $100, $10,000, $5. Who cares what the down payment is? And he signs a contract that says this chametz is evaluated at $5 million. And if you want the chametz, come and pay for it. Great. He signs it. It's a real sale. If he wants to come and make good on that sale and pay for the whole value, he could. We all know maybe he'll never do it because maybe they give a very high evaluation and whatever it is. But in lumdis, in the thought, if you want to know how does it work, that's how it works. And that's why it's a real sale. It's not a joke. It's not just, we make pretend, we do some heebie-jeebie, we shake the guy's hand, we pretend it's his. No, he buys it for real. He makes payment number one. And if he wants to make further payments, he most certainly can. Now, what happens is Yontif develops, and after Yontif comes along and we buy it back, or the sale on its own. Uh, you all know the better terms. Yeah, you all know better terms than I have. Which again, in context, these things are normal, right? You have 10 days to make good on the sale. If you don't make good on the sale in 10 days, boom. Does that mean Lema Freya? He never bought it? Oh, that means he didn't make good on the sale, and now it's finished. That is how Mechiras chametz works. And this is the reason, by the way, if you wonder why in the star it says if you're in a different time zone, is because we have to be mindful and make sure that if I'm going to sell chametz, and I'm not going to do the math now, different parts of the world, I'm going to get messed up. But if you're in, I don't know why I'm doing this. If you're in a time zone before, and then I sell the chametz after, you now own the chametz on Pesach, right? So it has to be sold in the right time zone. One year, someone came over to me frantically on the 7th day of Pesach, realizing he's from London. Again, I don't remember the details on how this whole thing worked out, but he's like, I'm from London, I own a supermarket, and I did my mechiras chametz with whatever. Do I have an issue that I'm owning all my chametz on Pesach because of the time differences? So I don't exactly know how this worked because he didn't mess up in the time zones. But Rabbi Rudinsky was there. He's a Goyin Gadol, and he went to Rudinsky. Rudinsky says nothing to worry about. I think it might be somehow they build into these their umdinas, these things built in. I don't know, but these are fascinating things to think about. Okay, that's how Mechiras Chametz works. Let's move on. So now we cleaned for Pesach, we sold our Chametz, we did B'dikas Chametz. Now we get to Erev Pesach, just two important reminders. Number one, if you're a Bachar, just reminder, Shalom Aleichem, you're a Bachar, and daven somewhere with a siyum. Okay, that's number one. Number two, after Chatzos on Erev Yom Tif is when you're not supposed to shave and get a haircut anymore. This is one of those things everyone forgets. You come home from work at 4:00 Erev Yom Tov. Oh shoot, you're supposed to lechatchila. I say lechatchila. I'll explain why in a moment. At Chatzos, there's an Isser Melacha. It's like Cholamayit already. At Chatzos and Erev Yom Tov. It's the only time Erev Yom Tov has dinim like Yom Tov. And the reason is why? Because we bring the carbon Pesach on Erev Yom Tov. That's when you bring the carbon. When you bring a carbon, it has a din of a Yom Tov for you. So even though we're not bringing, hopefully we will be bringing a carbon. But even if we're not bringing a carbon, even if we're sitting in America, unfortunately, then it still has a din of a yontif, and there's an isser melacha after chatzais. The reason why this is very important is because this is the last time to shave for the next whatever you hold svira. So one should do it before chatzais. Lemaisa, I will just mention that's the lechatchila, and that's what one should do. If one ends up in a bad situation, which you shouldn't plan prior, because then it's not called a bad situation. That means you planned it. But if you end up in a shas adchak, Shmuel Kamenetsky does write that there is a makam hatzerich, there's a room to be makel, and this includes doing your nails. This includes doing your nails, an important thing to note. However, if a guy is giving you a haircut or doing the nails, there is room to be makel after chatzais. Officially, laundry shouldn't even be done after chatzais. It's a little bit difficult. What should I tell you? When it comes to the Seder, let's just make a few important, before we get to the Seder, cosmetics and medications. So let's take 3 minutes to talk about cosmetics and medications in Yom Tov. Let's make a clear differentiation, clear line in the sand. Things that go in our mouth, we're obviously going to be more machmir on. Things that go in our mouth. Ramosha famously was machmir on perfumes and colognes and items that have alcohol that could theoretically be, I think the word is distilled, is that the right word? And then you could drink the alcohol from it. Based off of that, Ramosha said, and this is right, Blumenkrantz's famous book is written based on this premise, that Ramosha writes the Russian soldiers in the army, they do this, therefore colognes and perfumes should be checked to see if they have a certain type of alcohol. I think it's the denatured alcohol is the one that could be distilled. I don't remember the names, and that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. Lemaisa, if you do you start doing a little bit of homework, you'll see that many kashrut agencies like the OU write that one does not have to be mindful of this Lemaisa. Why not? And the reason is because Lemaisa, it's not Royal Achilas Kelev. It's not. Right now, this perfume, even a dog can't eat. And on Pesach, and this is an important differentiation, this is a reason why don't just assume something that's during the year is on Pesach. During the year, kashrus is royal achilas adam. And if adam can't eat it, it's fine. On Pesach, it's royal achilas kelev. And that's why we're more machmir on Pesach. However, even that, perfumes and colognes are not royal for a dog to eat. And therefore, Lamashal, if you look at the OU, I hope I'm getting this right. If you look at the OU, they say all these things are fine. You're not eating it. So again, this is the debate. So chumra of Ramosha, it could be distilled. I recently gave a shir, and someone told me afterwards. It was about tshuva that he told me he went to public school, and in public school there's a class. He told me the name of the class. I don't remember, and he said they talk about people who unfortunately don't have enough money to buy alcohol, and they give you a whole class how they're teenagers, they go and they buy these perfumes and the colognes and they're drinking them and they're getting drunk and high and whatnot on them. So he told me it does exist. That's what this guy said to me. I'm not, don't try this at home. I'm not saying that anyone should, especially, maybe with our medic on staff, we could do some experiments, but for the rest of us, I would stay away. Lemaisa, that is the debate. I think a way to approach this is when we're sitting 2 weeks before Yantif, and let me be clear, so what's the chumrah of Ramosha? Not to not use it, to check if it has this type of alcohol. And not every perfume, a lot of them have synthetic items, a lot of them have other items, and a lot of them are fine. So the chumrah would be in the next 2 weeks, to whatever everyone uses, to do a little bit of research. That's the chumrah. Lemaisa, you want to know if it's Erev Pesach and you call up and you want to know, can I use it? It's a chumrah of Ramesha. Many paiskim are arguing. Many paiskim say Lamaisa. Right now, you could no one eats it, and it will be allowed to be used. That's how it goes to perfumes and colognes. That's how it goes to deodorants and hand sanitizer and all these things. Other items are less concerns, like hand lotions and shampoos and things like that. Are mamish of no concern. Lipstick, famously, because it's going on your lips, is something one should be more machmir on. Should be, I shouldn't say that way, people are more machmir on. It's not something you should be more machmir on because it's also not royal achilas kelev. But a lot of them have derivatives of chametz in it, and therefore the chumrah is to check if it has such ingredients. If someone wants to know medina, any of these things could be used. Some people say you should shave down the part that's used during the year on the lipstick because that went onto your mouth. And the answer is no husband should go violently and shave down their wife's lipstick because you're going to ruin the whole thing. Those who have tried have realized, you got to maintain that little whatever it's called. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. So be mindful. You can wipe it down. Don't shave it down. I just saved a lot of Shalom Bayis problems. Go and you could try it also. Yeah, just testing to see if it tastes like the chametz. Yeah, okay. Let's you can have a meeting with later. But Lamaisa, be careful. Be careful. That's as opposed to cosmetics and a mouthwash and toothpaste is something very, very interesting. During the year, if I were to take a poll, I think most people use any mouthwash and toothpaste. You don't check if it's kosher. And by the way, a lot of them aren't quote unquote kosher. There's glycerin and other items in them. So why are we not makbid during the year? The reason is because these are not items made to ingest. They're not royal achila. So we're mako. It's based on Har Tzvi, see Pesach Frank, that you don't plan on ingesting them, you plan on expelling them, and therefore mako. On Pesach, though, many try to be more machmir. Many try to be machmir because lamaisa might have a derivative of Pesach, a derivative of chametz in it, and therefore there is a room for a chumrah. Children's medications are where things really cause a problem. Adult medications, I hope we're all at the stage that we swallow pills. If we're not, we could have a class and learn how to swallow pills. I just did it with my daughter. Baruch Hashem, I was successful, so I could have a second patient if anyone wants. We can teach you how to swallow pills. Pills don't have a taste to them, therefore you don't have to worry about them. However, liquid medications have a taste to them, and therefore you have to be careful with them. Children's medications are often the problem. Now, here's the medical disclaimer, which we always have to give. Never stop taking a medicine because of Pesach. Ask a shayla first, especially not heart medications and other serious medications, because a lot of things people are taking daily are needed to be taken. If a child needs a medicine, ask before you stop giving it to him. However, if you do a quick search, you'll find out that you just have to get the right one. I actually just did it this morning. I said, this is my way to be Makayim or Moshe. How did Mekayim Ramesha? Famously, Ramesha used to get a call every Erev Shabbos from a Russian, I think she was Baal Tshuva or Ger, I don't know what, and she used to ask Ramesha, what time is Shabbos? Every Shabbos. And Ramesha pick up the phone, tell her what time Shabbos is, and go. So then they said, Ramesha, like, what are you doing? This is what she needs. So this is what, if someone says, Rabbi, is this medicine kosher lebezach? So what do? I do what he should do. I go look on the OU's website, and I go look at the Stargaze website. But you just have to be careful. Don't trust AI, by the way. The Google result, don't trust it, because they put like 6 items together, and you got to make sure it's actually listed, all the different flavors and the different types. You got to make sure it's there. But the answer is 2 weeks before Yontif, find the right one. Lamashal, Tylenol, Advil, there's a million different brands. Some are good, some are not good. That is that. We'll conclude with Lamaisa. When it comes to the Seder, one very important disclaimer. There are shiurim for the Seder that one has to eat. Has to. Chiyuvim, matzah, wine, one has to eat. I have a clock in front of me, no one should be worried. One has to eat. When one doesn't know the shir that they have to eat, they end up making foolish decisions. They end up showing up, comes to Kiddush, and they have much more than they need to drink. And they think, oh, no big deal, I'll be machmir. And then they have the second kais. And then what happens is it comes to matzah, and all of a sudden they can't eat so much. And it comes to mar, and they can't eat so much. And it comes to the third kais, and now they're starting to. So if you make sure you know the shir, and you measure your cup before Yontif, and there's no such thing. There's many, many chumras, but midina, you have to drink ravias. L'chumra, what's Ravias, what's a Rav Ravias. Okay, we're not going involved in the numbers, but check the numbers. And if you follow what the din is to eat and drink, it's the way to go, because then you'll end up being able to Makayim the mitzvah. By the way, part of the mitzvah is to say the Haggadah, to bench. Benching is a deraisa. How many people, when it comes to Berachas HaMazon, they're woozy from all the wine, they're stuffed from all the food, and then it's late at night, so they mumble through benching, they mumble through Halal Gadol, and then they just fall asleep. If they would have been mindful in the beginning of the Seder, and if they would have made sure to only eat and drink the shear, then maybe they could have felt good. And then maybe they could have been Makai in the mitzvah. So the reminder when it comes to the Seder is know the shiurim. Measure what you need to eat. Eat the requisite shear so that you could fulfill the entire mitzvah, achai kosher, v'sameach.